If you're gearing up to buy a new home, you may be debating resale or new construction. Do you want the charm of an old house or the move-in ready aspect of new construction? Let's talk about some of the pros and cons to both. Welcome back to my channel, Kelsey Vanek Real Estate. Don't forget to subscribe so you can see the next video when it comes out. Let's talk about new homes versus older homes today. Let's start with older homes. If you are buying in North Carolina, consider that you are in a buyer beware state. What this means for you is that it is your job as the buyer to do your due diligence while you're under contract to find any issues that there may be with the home that you're purchasing. And it is not the seller's obligation to fix any of those issues. So with that in mind, there may be some big ticket items that you really want to understand if you're looking at resale and older homes. There may be some items that you want to consider as non-negotiables in terms of their age with older homes. For instance, a roof or an HVAC system. These are both things that don't last, super long. If the HVAC system in this area especially is 15 years old and the roof is 20 or more years old, these are items that are probably going to need to be replaced really soon. If you're checking out older homes and the bathrooms look original, or maybe they were done back in the 70s or the 80s, you may love the vintage charm of those bathrooms, but think about what is behind those walls. Materials like galvanized piping, polybutylene, and lead have all been proven to be dangerous or defective, and those materials were being used for plumbing up until the late 80s. Same goes for your electric work. Old dated electric like knob and tube wiring is a huge safety issue and can cause fires in a home. If a home was built prior to 1978, there's a pretty good chance you've got lead paint, which can be especially dangerous to children and pregnant women. So these definitely aren't the only things to watch out for when you're looking at old homes, but there are a few items that could cost you a lot of money, and you could come home to a flood, you could have a fire. So make sure you have a bit of understanding about these types of items, especially when it comes to your inspection report, so you really know what you're getting into. A big red flag to watch out for when you're looking at homes are flip homes. It's pretty easy to tell when you're looking at a flip. If a home was bought and sold in a short period of time, let's say a year or so, there's a pretty good chance it was a flip. And it's also pretty easy to tell when you're in a flip house. Check out, detail, like the backsplash. Is the backsplash wavy and not installed properly? Are all the electric covers, your light switches and outlets crooked? Is there waviness to the flooring? When you open the bathroom door, is it going right into your vanity and leaving this much room for you to walk? There's some pretty big red flags when it comes to that. An issue with people flipping, and it's not to say that there aren't good flippers out there. Of course there are, but a lot of people flipping homes are really just after money. They don't really care about the house that they're putting out or the buyers that are buying the house. So if you walk into a house and you see some of those red flags, think about what's behind the walls. That's just, cosmetic. You can fix backsplash pretty easily, right? But I think it's safe to assume that if someone's cutting corners on something like backsplash, which is pretty easy to install, they're definitely cutting corners on the inside of your walls, like electric work and plumbing and structural issues that maybe they ignored and things like that. And that's not really just flippers, it's, previous homeowners too. A lot of the times homeowners will, they want to save money, so they'll do work themselves, and maybe they're not super qualified to do that work. So definitely when you're at a showing, I know especially in this market, it can be tough. You want to get through showings quickly so you can get that offer written up, but try to pay attention to those small details, especially if you're looking at a home that you think is a flip. Another thing to consider if you like older homes is floor plans. A lot of people today want big open floor plans. Maybe they want their kitchen and their living room to be pretty open to one another so that the person in the kitchen can see what's going on in the living room. Unless the older home, especially if it was built before the 2000s, unless that home has been reconfigured, then it's likely that it's going to have more walls, less of an open floor plan. And closet space is another big one. With new construction today, we're definitely seeing pretty good closet space. There are more closets. They're a lot of walk-in closets. So with an older home, you might get less storage and more walls. So definitely take that into consideration. Let's move into the pros and cons of new construction. The first thing that I talk about with my buyer clients that want to look at new construction is timeline. So there are shortages happening everywhere, of course, with coronaviruses and other factors contributing to supply shortages, and new construction is no exception. It's really getting hit pretty hard. So homes that used to be built in 6 months are now taking 8 months, 10 months, maybe a year or more sometimes. And the reason for this is the builders just can't get materials in quickly enough. So if windows end up getting delayed 2-3 months, that means your house is also getting delayed 2-3 months, and any inspections that were scheduled have to be rescheduled, and you can't sell a home with no windows. So timeline is super important. If you're hoping to have a new construction home in 6 months, it's probably just not going to happen in the current market. And with these timeframes and material shortages, a lot of builders are no longer giving you the option of being able to pick upgrades or materials. So where you used to be able to go in and pick the floors that you wanted and the countertops that you wanted, a lot of builders are doing away with that just because it's not feasible. They can't get those materials in on time, so they're ordering these materials well before the home is actually built. So, there are some builders that are giving you that option still, but do keep in mind that a lot of these neighborhoods are no longer allowing that. One kind of advantage right now with new construction is there's no really guessing games when it comes to ask price, or the price that you put in your offer. So what you see is usually what you get, at least in this area, in terms of what the builder wants for the list price. So that can be kind of nice with making an offer, not having to say, oh, are we going to offer this much over ask. Do keep in mind there is still competition with new builds. A lot of the times there will be wait lists, so when the house does get released, it's going to these people first that were on the wait list and might not ever even hit the MLS, and you may not even get the chance to bid on the house if you weren't on that wait list. So there's definitely still competition. I do tend to see less offers on new construction, like maybe just a few offers instead of 10, 15 offers. So both have competition, but I think new construction oftentimes has a little bit less competition. There can definitely be things that you can do to help your offer with new construction. So oftentimes builders will have preferred lenders, and they have preferred lenders for a reason. Agents have preferred lenders as well. It's really nice to work with lenders that know you and understand your business. So they'll have preferred lenders that if you get pre-qualified with them and you submit that pre-approval letter with that lender with your offer, that can really help your chances. The builder definitely likes to see that. A lot of the times builders aren't taking contingent offers, meaning if you have to sell your house, they're not gonna accept your offer. So if you could get the contingency off, that could help you. So each builder and neighborhood has its own set of practices, but I do think there's a bit of a competitive edge with new construction versus resale right now. Let's go back to list price. So I mentioned that usually when you make an offer on new construction, you just offer what they're asking for, maybe with a nice builder's deposit to up your chances. But what you see isn't always what you get when it comes to getting to the closing table. So if you do have the option of choosing upgrades, do keep in mind that those upgrades can wind up really costing you a pretty penny. So until you sit down and you're going through upgrades, and you probably won't have the option to go through upgrades until you're under contract, it can really add up really quickly. Another thing that some builders have, and this is definitely not all, this is just going to be builder to builder, some of them will require you to sign an escalation clause if you want to go under contract. An escalation clause means that they have the right to increase the price of the home while you're under contract because of material prices going up. So really think about that. If you're signing or going under contract on a home and it's not expected to be done for 8 months to a year, that's a lot of time for prices to increase and it could increase multiple times throughout that. So you could be looking at a pretty different number at the closing table than what you went under contract for. And you can walk away during that time, most of the time, to understand the contract that you're signing, but usually they give you the option of walking away, but it's likely that you can't get your builder's deposit back, or if you chose upgrades, you might not be able to get the money you spent on those upgrades back. So definitely understand escalation clauses before you sign anything. One thing about new construction that you'll often see is when builders go in, they clear everything out. So you go in and it just looks like a dirt desert. This is kind of a downside for most new construction. Mature trees and bushes and things, they take a long time to grow. So when you move into your house, it might be a really long time. You might not even own the house anymore by the time you have those nice mature trees that you see in established neighborhoods. So that, I think, most people consider a downside of new construction. Another thing with new construction is you often move in while there is still construction going on in the neighborhood. So builders build in phases. Maybe they have 3 phases and you bought in phase 1. That means phases 2 and 3 are still happening around you, and that could take years to be completed. So, expect loud noises, utility trucks driving by your house and throughout the neighborhood, and lots of dirt and dust outside of your door. That is just a part of new construction that you have to deal with. An advantage to new construction is definitely turnkey. You move in and it's ready for you, and you can just put your stuff away and live happily ever after, right? You never have to fix anything. Well, that's just, of course, not the case. Things break sooner than you might think. You might be making repairs a lot sooner than you think. You just can't count on things working for, 10 years to 15 years or anything like that, just because it's new construction. And definitely keep in mind that not all builders are created equal. Definitely ask your agent about builder reputations and look at reviews and things like that, because these builders are trying to build houses quickly a lot of the time. So maybe they're not giving you the quality that you really want in a house. So make sure you're building with a reputable builder for sure. Whether you're buying new construction or resale, both are gonna have their caveats. You're gonna have issues and you're gonna have things that you love about the home. If you're buying new construction, check out my video on HOAs, which if you are buying new construction, you will definitely find yourself in. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe so you can see the next one.